Hi, I'm Randy Robison. This is Life Today TV. I am honored and privileged to have Louie Giglio with me today, and we're going to be talking about a book surrounding a holiday season that we are celebrating very soon here, and maybe you're watching this, we're in the middle of it. It's called Waiting Here for You. It's an Advent journey of hope. Louie, appreciate you being here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
First of all, for all of us, you know, Western evangelicals, what the heck is Advent?
I know, it's crazy, right? I grew up in church my whole life. Amazing churches, you know, loved God and celebrated Christmas in a beautiful way, but really never was in a church that celebrated Advent. Mm-hmm. And in recent years, there's been a resurgence of Advent. The Advent conspiracy was a movement that sort of thrust the thinking of Advent back into the church. And what Advent really is simply a centuries-old celebration of the coming promise of God in the birth of Christ. Okay. It begins 4 Sundays before Christmas. And really the reason why we have this book is because at Passion City Church, I was noticing as a pastor that the Christmas season was just steamrolling people. And you can't wait till Christmas Eve and come to the Christmas Eve service at church to really regroup. You have to get ahead of the curve. And the curve now is starting any day now, but by Thanksgiving, you know, Christmas is in full swing. Yeah. And so if you back up 4 weeks before Christmas and you begin a determined journey to think about the faithfulness of God, a God who keeps his promises, yeah. And you begin to set your heart on this period of waiting, of trusting and believing, it really allows you to arrive at Christmas with a completely different condition of heart, a completely different condition of life. And instead of feeling completely deflated and defeated by Christmas, which is what most people feel, it's like, thank goodness that's over.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I hope I can pay for it.
Right.
But Advent allows you to arrive at Christmas with wonder and with a sense of confidence that God is going to come through in whatever the season of waiting that you're in.
Okay, so the hope is a big thing. I'm guessing that it's tied to the hope of Christ. How does it relate to us today? Because the Messiah, I can see it, you know, when you're waiting for your Messiah for hundreds, thousands of years. How do you transfer that to our daily
Well, you know,
life
everyone's
right now,
waiting.
You know?
This is the thing. Everyone watching right now is waiting. Waiting on a job to come through, or waiting on a relationship to be restored, waiting on a husband or a wife, waiting on a baby, waiting on a diagnosis, waiting on a doctor to give a report. We're always in a season of waiting, and it's in the waiting that we have to remember that while we wait, God works. And we don't always see the work that God's doing. But what does Christmas do? It reminds us that for 400 years, from the end of the Old Testament prophet to the birth of Jesus, there had been silence from God. This is part of Scripture that we don't talk about very often. We turn one page from the end of the Old Testament, and wow, there's Matthew, and there's Jesus, and this is amazing, and isn't the story incredible? Right. But there's 4 centuries of nothing in between. No prophet, no word from God, no voice from God.
That we have recorded.
That we have recorded.
Right.
And so potentially, though, generations of people waiting to know, is this Messiah going to arrive? Is this promise going to be fulfilled? Is this really going to happen? And that silence is broken by a baby crying in Bethlehem. And that reminds us, and whatever it is that we're waiting on, that God is working while we wait. God's plan was never in doubt. Never has been in doubt.
That's a strong point.
And God's plan for us is not in doubt today, even though maybe what we see doesn't give us evidence that God's doing anything. What we know from celebrating the birth of Christ is that God is always weaving the story to his conclusion, and he's doing that for every one of us who's waiting right now.
So how can we use, Christians today, how can we use Advent to really put the Christ back in Christmas, as they say, but to make Christmas really what it should be?
Well, I think that the journey is amazing, I know for me personally, and interestingly too, when I was writing this book 2 summers ago, you know, you write a Christmas book in the summertime.
Right.
And so it was August, and every day I would come to sit down, I wanted to pause and say, God, help me get in touch with somebody who's going through a very difficult time at Christmas. I've been in the hospital with my dad in a very serious illness at Christmas before. Spending Christmas Day in a hospital helps you reframe things a little bit. And I would sit down every day and I said, God, I want you to give me a family. And so I just began to picture this family. And it was a family going through Christmas with cancer. And so every day before I would put my fingers to the keyboard, I would say, God, I want this to be real for this family. I don't want it to be surfacey or cliche-ish. I want it to feel real and gritty, not just to the happy family having Christmas, but to the family that's really going through the thick of it with cancer. And so I prayed for that family, whoever they were. And then I began to write. In every sentence, I wanted to land with authenticity for that family. That was in August. That Thanksgiving, my father-in-law, my wife's dad, was diagnosed with incurable cancer. And the first bit of that diagnosis, I mean, it came on and out of nowhere. And by Christmas that year, everything was up for grabs. And I picked this up and started on day one. And we were the family going through Christmas with cancer. And we wanted something that was gritty, that had some ballast in it. And so I think what this journey will do for people is it will lift their expectation. It will set their gaze back on God. It will build their confidence that He loves them and is for them and is working, as we just said before. And I think leading into Christmas, at the advent of God's greatest gift to man, we'll remember He is a good God who gives amazing gifts to His children, who has our best interest in mind all the time, even when it doesn't look like circumstances are saying that. And that at the end of the day, this is what you can count on. He's the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. He's been faithful to every generation, and He's going to be faithful to you, and He's going to be faithful to me.
I am in. I hope you're in too. I hope you'll pick this up. It's available right now. You should get it now so that you can start if you're seeing this, early enough. If not, then get it anyway and do it next Christmas, every Christmas. That sounds great. I really appreciate you putting the effort into this. We were that family one Christmas a couple years ago.
I know.
So I've been there and looking forward to going through this. Appreciate what you do. Appreciate you coming and being with us. What's your website for people that want to follow up?
PassionCityChurch.com is the best place for them to connect with us. Or if they want to check with Passion Conferences, PassionConferences.com.
Thank you so much. Don't miss Louie when he's on Life Today. You can see those programs at lifetoday.org.